Today, we are talking to 3 expert sellers who have combined sold millions, tens of millions of dollars on Amazon about what it takes to launch a successful business from scratch on Amazon in 2025. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Series Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I am your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that is our special edition of our Scale Stories Ask Me Anything. And first question you might have is, Bradley, why do you sound like garbage? I am deathly sick here, but we're going to see if I can get my voice to last at least 1 hour here. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Let me know, everybody out there, who has seen episode 1 of Scale Stories. All right, so for those of you who haven't seen the episode yet, make sure to check it out on YouTube. All right, it's a really great episode where we go in to being able to see, hey, can we start a business in 2025? And to help us with that episode, we have 3 experts that we flew in from around the world. So let's go ahead and invite them on now and meet them. Let's first meet Leo. Leo, how's it going?
Good morning. Good morning, Bradley. Man, I'm sorry to hear that you're not feeling well. I've been under the weather for the past few days too, so you're not alone. Thank you for having me.
This is the worst my voice has been. Of course, exactly when we go live, but or maybe I'm just going through puberty. I'm getting on a deep voice finally. We'll see. Leo, can you introduce yourself and tell us your background?
Of course, yes. My name is Leo, guys. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in the Amazon industry since 2015. Background goes a little bit even beyond that. 2007 is when I started my SEO journey in the travel industry, actually, and then specialized in different disciplines like PPC and analytics. Today, I love spending time on the researching how the algorithm works, on things like influencer marketing, affiliate marketing. So very honored to be one of the mentors here on Scale Stories. And you guys can ask me anything today.
Awesome. Next up, let's welcome Melisa to the show. Melisa, how's it going?
Hey guys, doing awesome. How are you? Sorry to hear about your voice, but it is kind of raspy. It's given, read me bedtime stories.
There we go. All right, might have to do some ASMR after this. But Melisa, can you introduce yourself and your background?
Yeah, so I am from Canada. I believe Leo is also from Canada. We actually met a while back in China. So great to see some, smart and brilliant minds join us for not only the episode, but also this Ask Me Anything. I started my journey about 2015, 2016, similar to Leo. We have a lot of overlaps there. And I have successfully exited 2 companies now. Both were solely focused on selling on Amazon. And for the most part, most of us sell on Amazon, but now we've been also focusing off of Amazon. And that's kind of where our strategy has pivoted, obviously becoming more omni-channel. And, we live in a day where it's so much easier to launch now cookie cutter brands. So really focusing on that marketing and doing things that are scrappy. So that's my specialty, thinking of unique ideas and angles to bring things to market.
Awesome. All right, last but not least, the reason why we're doing this at 8 a.m. Pacific time is because we've got Clarence, who is coming to us from Singapore. Clarence, go ahead and introduce yourself too.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yes, my name is Clarence, and I love that new voice that you got. That's a great upgrade for what Janus was mentioning about spooky video ads for your coffin shelf, just in time for Halloween, man. So, yeah, I'm from Singapore, so thanks for tuning in early. And yeah, I'm just very excited and honored to be part of these amazing Scale Stories. I'm madly passionate about product research. I launch products day in, day out, as much as I can with my team, and we really do test the Amazon algorithm as much as we can. So we have the data to back up whatever we do, and I'm excited to share that with everyone here. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so first question, just in general, not necessarily specific to scale stories, is let's just talk about launching on Amazon. Is it too late in 2025 to do so? Or do each of you think that, hey, you can still, Melisa, I'm going to start with you because you have started and exited multiple businesses over the years. There are some who might say, nope, the gold rush of Amazon is over. Would you start again if you had the chance in 2025, 2026?
Absolutely. I mean, I am in the process of launching a new brand, so I think that goes without saying. We are actively in the trenches launching new products. Literally every couple of months, we're always launching new products, so it is very much possible. But long gone are the days where you can launch generic products now, or even just because we do specialize in a lot of consumables or even supplements, it has become a very not saturated, but like a competitive space. It always has been, but that's more for products that are like single ingredient products. So you can't launch, like, I know Bradley's example is always the collagen, right? So if you go in thinking you can launch a new collagen on Amazon, then you are in for an uphill battle. But if you are launching off of Amazon, even, there is a way for you to basically sell anything as long as your marketing is on point. Like, you have people rebranding water, right? Like Liquid Death. It's now $1 billion company selling water. Like, it's not a new product. They're not reinventing the wheel. It's not rocket science. They're just literally rebranding something that people are already drinking or already using. And that's still very much doable today. But on Amazon, it's a very different approach. And that's where differentiation is super important. So yes, I still think it's very much possible to launch new products. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in the business of selling on Amazon and even considering launching new brands.
Awesome. Clarence, you work with a lot of people in the community, especially newer sellers, actually probably more than experienced sellers. So what's it been like for those launching, from Asia, but in Amazon USA, who have been launching businesses here in 2025?
Yeah, I'm so proud of them. In fact, just literally last week, I had 3 of them who launched on Amazon, and within a week or two, they got like #1 new release badges, 40, 50 units sold a day in a really not so competitive niche. So yes, definitely viable to launch a new brand starting from scratch in 2025 still, as long as you enter into a market that you can conquer with great differentiation. Make sure you're not entering into like a collagen peptide market like what Melisa has mentioned. Just know your competition, and hey, you can choose your battles wisely.
Awesome. Leo, thoughts on, is it too late to start on Amazon?
Brother, my answer here is absolutely not. And I think the reason is that, one of the reasons that today we have access to people like yourselves, which we didn't have access to 10 years ago. Clarence here, you can pick up the phone, call him. He'll be your guy in China to make sure that you get the right product and you don't make mistakes. You have experts like Melisa. You guys have Helium 10, which is an awesome tool. So there is no reason why someone today should fail. So that's obviously a huge advantage that we didn't have before. Number 2, we have AI that I didn't have in 2015. AI today allows you to streamline the process from the product research to validation to the persona, like everything that you really need to understand. It's there, just done for you. And number 3, we have the power of influencers and affiliates through platforms like TikTok or Instagram. So I think it comes down today to the strategy. If you have a good strategy in place, I think you can, I'm trying to not push people towards like the competitive niches, but I am personally working on a new supplement line. And I've been selling for a while, but I think Melisa here can speak about this way more than I do or than I am right now. But the truth is that if you know what you're doing, I think you can pretty much go in any niche. Like I see supplement sellers recently sending outside traffic to Amazon, so controlling a little bit the funnel instead of relying necessarily on ranking, let's say top 8, which is the first 2 rows on Amazon. So I think it's not too late. We with Natalie are obviously focused on a product that allowed us to get into a market with a definitely tight budget. So it depends on your budget, but the opportunity is still there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, going back to scale stories, somebody, there's even somebody out there who mentioned Project X, even using it as the name here. I'm not sure who this is, but they said Project X. But Project X was a series that we did a few years ago. And that was, I think, we started filming in maybe 2019. Hundreds of thousands of people have launched businesses on Amazon since 2019, but not really, shown the step-by-step, because it's definitely a lot of steps are similar, but a lot of steps are different. And so we wanted to do something new where we can say, hey, instead of just, some experts like Tim and Bradley from Project X, launching a product, let's take a complete newbie. So we actually had some, we had a casting call of sorts that went out, and we saw a lot of videos, and then we were really moved by the story from Natalie, who became our contestant, who were going to help launch a product live. And so sticking with Leo for a second, what inspired you, or what was drew you to Natalie's story when you first learned about her, met her? What were your initial impressions?
Well, if you have watched the first episode, you can tell how much that story touched me. Like when she was explaining that she failed multiple times, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Like those are things that make you think, first of all, how lucky you are in general in life, to be doing what you do. But also, people like that, you realize that they need help and they need our support, and they can do it. She was very motivated. She said, I know I can do it. I'm just one step away. But she just, I think, was, she got lost in the process because of the previous failures. And so that, for me, was the main motivation. I love to help people. You know that. Like I share a lot of content, share a lot of things for free. I don't, I don't charge people. The other day I did a webinar where I showed people how to generate unlimited UGC content with AI and A10 flows, and that was totally free. So I just love seeing people succeed, and that was my main motivation when I heard Natalie's story. So yeah, I'm excited to help her along the way and see her getting the first sales on Amazon, and eventually call us and say, hey, I made my first 10K this month.
Awesome. Melisa, what do you think of Natalie?
Natalie is so sweet. I mean, there were definitely tears flowing when she was telling her story, and I was trying very hard not to let my makeup run down my face. But yeah, she, like Leo was saying, like she is very motivated, and I think that's super important. I mean, you can't help people who don't want to be helped, and Natalie does want to be helped. Like she took the effort to apply to be on the show. She took the step to, even show up, and anyone who maybe was accepted into the program, it takes a lot of guts to be able to show up and do this in front of, thousands and thousands of people too, right? This is going to be publicized all over the internet. And she was okay with that. She was very vulnerable with us. And I think people like that deserve the world, because she's willing to not only share her past failures, but also, work through all of this in real time with people so they can see the inside scoop and what the process really takes. So that alone, she's a very strong human being, and I'm so excited that we get to work with her.
Awesome. Helium 10's got over 40 tools for e-commerce entrepreneurs. I know how overwhelming it might seem to try and figure out how you're going to learn how to use everything, or maybe even to know which ones you want to get started with. So for a completely free course that's going to guide you through learning everything you need in order to become a Helium 10 expert, visit the Helium 10 Academy.
That is h10.me/academy.
Now, sticking with you, Melisa, we mentioned how Project X was in 2019. Some things are the same, some things are different. Pick one of those. Which things, like pick either something that's the same or something that's different, but you've launched products back in 2019 before, maybe even a little bit after. What would you say is either something that's the same or something that's different that we kind of went through on this process with Natalie?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the principles are the same. So, business principles, obviously, things are a little bit simpler. I wouldn't say they're easy, but I think things are refined now. But it always goes back to the basics, which is finding, your product research, which is something that we focused on heavily on the episode, if you'd watched it, and using good tools to help us figure out what products to sell. So that's always going to remain constant. Good data in is good data out, right? If you feed, bad data or garbage data into your searches, you're going to get bad results. So that's where finding reliable data sources like Helium 10, we are confident that the sales volumes or the keyword volumes are all accurate, right? And that's something we rely on to make these decisions. So if you use good tools, you're going to get good data to help you make good decisions. And that's always going to remain the same in launching on Amazon.
Clarence, what's something that's very different, would you say, from like around the time of the original Project X compared to now?
I think it's the use of AI in our space. Compared to back then, 2019, 2020, AI is like non-existent at that time, and we just launched the old school method of Excel sheets, just crunching in formulas, to do the data research, etc. But now with AI, wow, it has changed and completely changed the game. You can literally use AI to help you in product research with differentiation ideas, helping you vet the competition level even. And in fact, now we also tested a tool to help us do A/B testing for our main image. And instead of using like the normal brand experiments to wait 8 weeks for results from Amazon, I roughly will know in less than 1 hour which main image will work better based on this AI tool, right? So I think it's completely changed the game, and now using more of AI will really help us to advance our Amazon FBA business.
Awesome. Leo, differences, similarities now versus then.
Well, I agree with both mentors here, and I think like what Clarence just said, the power of AI is probably the biggest weapon that we have today. Yesterday I wanted to I was working on this new funnel. You guys know about insert funnels and ways to potentially build your own list, right? Once you sell on Amazon, because that's obviously sometimes seen against the TOS, especially the way we were doing it before. But I wanted to be very creative. And so I used AI yesterday to build an app quickly that allows me to still leverage, for example, inserts. But instead of asking people for reviews, we ask people to submit their UGC content. And so that's an incentive. Like if you think about companies today, they use, they provide you with UGC content. They charge anywhere between $30, $40, $50, right? Right now we can leverage our customers, get UGC content, build social proof, post it anywhere. And then in exchange, we still give away like a free product. So, this is not the exact answer that you're looking for. What was different, or what's the difference between before and now? I think today we just have a lot more access to so many different tools and so many different resources that we can compete with enterprise level companies.
Okay. Yeah, agreed. There's actually somebody asked a question in the chat. Daphne said, "Hey, do you need to do marketing outside of Amazon?" 2019, the answer was not necessarily. Like, could it have helped back then? Sure. Did we do it in Project X? No, because we didn't have to. Nowadays, I think it's different. Like the answer to Daphne's question is, you probably should be putting your product on TikTok Shop and trying to get traffic from there. You might need to look into Google Ads, you might need to look into getting your product on Walmart or having a website. All of these things we didn't need to do in the original Project X. Arguably, it could have helped, but it wasn't necessary. Nowadays, yes, a lot of these other things are potentially almost on the necessary status. So that's something that if you're launching a brand in this day and age, you've got to keep in mind. The world is definitely different. But talking about scale stories, one of the things we went through, and that is the same about launching a product back in 2019 compared to now, is the need to make data-driven decisions. Like, not just, what does my gut tell me that we should launch? And Clarence, what are some of the data points that you're looking at, and what you looked at with Natalie too in trying to find some products about, hey, is this a good opportunity to sell on Amazon?
I'm very glad that we have pointed out for Natalie that there was a patent initially with her original product idea that prevented her from entering. It's as simple as a patent will shut that whole product down. So, hey, let's just avoid the headache and let's move on to another product idea, right? So that's just one of our criteria to look at in terms of launching a good product on Amazon. Of course, we have many other pointers like what's the seasonality, right? Is the trend dying, or is it going upwards? Is it a trendy product? Is it seasonal? How about the competition level? Is there even a market demand that you can build a niche in, not just one product, but can you grow your brand eventually to a multi-product brand in that niche? Yeah, so many data points to be able to choose a product. And now we have that ability to really do it at scale with AI, right? And that's the main difference compared to 2019 or 2020. So I think right now the skill gap has really, should I say, collapsed, because now anyone can just use AI to really do the product research up to a certain level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So now has a question, says, hey, I'm having issues with FBA inventory. They would recommend sending 1,400 and only let me send 200. So probably what you're running into for some newer sellers, or even if you're experienced, they throttle how much inventory you can send in at once based on your trailing velocity of Amazon. And especially for those who are in seasonal niches, they're having some trouble. Like I had one of my brands that was actually for another case study that wasn't so popular, like Project X. I had a case study called Project 5K where I launched a whole bunch of cheap products and a lot of straws. And there was some like Christmassy type of straws that this brand had. And they're like, no, you can't send any more into Amazon because, your sales velocity has been like less than 1 per day for months. And so like, no, you have too much and it's 50 units. And so, yeah, that's something that you're going to have to deal with. There's a way to appeal and like send something where you say, hey, no, this is a seasonal product, or this is why I need more space, but definitely look into that appeal because that could, and then sending the 200 for now. And then as your sales velocity increases, they should open it up where you can send more in. Now, who can answer this question from Andrea here? We're getting ready. We're analyzing competitors to launch private label. What are the action steps, simplified, that you guys can talk about? And so as far as the analyzing competitors, Leo, what are you looking at from competitors about kind of like giving you a maybe green light or red light as to, is this a niche worth getting into?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, there are a few things I will look at. The size of their catalog, which tells me how experienced they are, how long have they been selling, and so who am I really competing with? Do they have a few ASINs? Do they have 10, 15, 20? Also, where, if I can find out where they're from, that tells me a little bit more who's behind the brand, because that's important to understand. Also, if I'm going after a specific product, I want to know how they are driving sales. So how many reviews, first of all, that this product has? Can I, what's the review velocity? Can I catch up? Do I have a chance to compete with them and obviously steal market share? So brand analytics helps obviously to understand what the click share is, what the conversion share is for, let's say, the top keywords they rank for. And also, can I come up with something that allows me to compete with these guys also from a price point perspective, because that's important. If you've been selling for a while, you probably have already better deals with your manufacturer. So can I compete with with my top competitors? If I feel comfortable that they don't have any specific strategy in place, so I go beyond just Amazon. I see if they have a website. I see if they're driving traffic from outside sources. I Google the product to see if they're running Google ads. For example, there are some spy tools that allow you to see if they have, if they're basically bidding on some keywords on Google and where the traffic is going. Are they advertising on TikTok? Do they have influencers promoting the product? So I need to understand the full landscape of the traffic sources. That gives me a more realistic understanding of who I'm competing with. Can I just play the Amazon game, or I have to play the omni-channel game? Because playing the Amazon game is totally different, right? Especially if you have competitors that are not super sophisticated, they're probably just relying on the Amazon traffic as a source. And so if I go in there and then I deploy my full 360-degree strategy, I can definitely beat them down the road. But if I know that they're already doing a lot of influencer traffic campaigns, they also have a bunch of videos from Clear Connections, so they're tapping into all these new channels. Also, they have a website, they're driving outside traffic. Perhaps, they have already a list. Some people you can see, even if you open, let's say, Helium 10, right? And you analyze their traffic, BSR, traffic pattern, you see that they do a lot of lightning deals every week. That gives you an understanding. These guys, they know what they're doing. Like a lot of Chinese sellers right now, for example, they hack the system. They know how to get lightning deals every week. Then they swap it with the best deals. Then they keep the price. So the reason they do that is because they want to keep the price always competitive, and then get always the strike through. So that alone is a huge competitive advantage, because you always look like you get a discount. And then you can go into the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, discounting by $2, even and looking like you have a good deal, but you're actually just discounting by $2. You're not 50% off. So when you look at that data, and you see a lot of movements from a price point perspective, a lot of deals, these guys are very competitive. They know what they're doing. And I will try to stay away from that unless I feel comfortable that I can deploy the same strategy.
Melisa, here's a question about supplements from Lindsay. It says, if you had a very limited advertising budget for a supplement, where would you use it? I would almost say if you're trying to get into supplements and you have a limited budget for advertising, maybe you shouldn't get into supplements. I don't know. That would just be my gut reaction. But what's yours?
I would echo that sentiment, but obviously if you are strained for cash, but you have time on your hands, right? So it's a thing about, okay, do you have money to buy back time and get the results quicker? Or do you have time on your hands, but less money? Then you should be doing these steps. Basically, I would find ways to not only just create more content organically, so you're focused more on organic brand building rather than paid brand building at this point. If you have very little funds, I would work on, like Leo mentioned, there are ways to create flywheels that will create you assets pretty quickly and very, very cheap using AI. Nowadays, they're getting very good. You can actually create AI avatars as well, and it's getting very consistent. So using things like Higgsfield is actually a really good tool to help you build out assets. N8N is a really great tool that Leo mentioned as well. We use it as well in our flow for creating what we call viral stories that we post on TikTok. So essentially, the strategy behind that is we look for or we create and write and script our own kind of stories, or we find inspiration from Reddit threads that have gone viral and then take our own spin on it and then turn that into like a voiceover. And then usually the background is something like Minecraft jumping parkour video or something that basically changes a lot because people have ADHD and, they have a hard time with their attention span. So having something in the background that gets people almost stuck to watching the entire video, and then essentially crafting in a way to drip out and tease your product in that video and offer it as a solution for whatever the problem is. So it's not just that, but if you want something that's more sustainable, you want to create a hero story for your brand. So what you're doing is you need to find a way on how to tell your story over and over again in a way that's not boring, that people are interested in learning more about you as a person, whether it's a founder story or the brand itself. Why did it come to be? Usually those who have some sort of founder story are going to be more successful than someone who doesn't, because you see the passion behind it and there's a reason behind starting the company. So for example, like my first brand started out of a personal need, right? So a lot of founders who start brands out of personal needs, they will have a better time or an easier time being able to not only craft a story around that, but also deliver a story that pulls on people's heartstrings. So I'm not saying to, we're not using this in a bad way where we're trying to like manipulate people to buy things because of our sad story. No, it's not about that. It's about, you want to help people. Your way to help people is by making sure that you are shouting from the rooftops and sharing your story to the masses, because that's the only real true way that you can reach people at scale. So the way that I look at it is you have to treat posting videos like buying lottery tickets, right? It's free to post. You just need to keep posting and one of them's going to hit, and that could ultimately change your life. So if you are consistent and you are consistently posting, testing, trying new things, you eventually will get traction. And that's the story for any successful YouTuber, any content creator, any brand. It's just about consistency, showing up and doing the work. So if you don't have the money, you better be putting in the sweat equity.
Anil says, hey, we sell perfumes, haven't been able to make profit and scale. We're losing money with a ROAS of 1 or maybe 0.4 or even 0.4. I'm not sure what to do. Leo, what would you say to Anil?
I think the issue here is that he's selling perfumes. Like, that's such a subjective item. Like, it's like anything that contains a fragrance. I've had the same issues even when I was selling beauty products. We spent so much time trying to always figure out the best fragrances, whether it was rose scent or just lime or anything that you believe that people might like the most. And then there is always someone that complains that the fragrance is too strong or it's not what they expected. So I'm not sure if that is one of the main reasons that you're not selling well. I don't know how many reviews you have, what's your average rating here. You just say that you're not profitable. So I will look at your listing and see if there is maybe anything else going on there, right? Maybe it's not attractive enough. Maybe you don't do a good job explaining, these different fragrances. And I'm assuming that this is your own personal brand, or unless you are reselling like some other kind. Like I see people reselling like white label of known fragrances under like different brands, so they're like clones. So Anil, maybe you can provide more info. I'm happy to answer that question. But I think here the issue is the niche itself. Unless you're a big brand, people know because you're in retail stores and people know that you are selling. It's a personal brand. So how do people know the fragrances? I understand you make them. So if I have to buy perfume, I either know what I'm buying because I've already smelled it at the airport, duty free, or maybe some other retail chains, or I won't buy it online, right? So that's probably why you're not selling well. That's my honest opinion when it comes to this specific niche.
Excellent. All right, Melisa, when you have a lot of experience, all of your products, when you've launched them, your competitors had way more reviews than even 400 and a lot in the supplement space, unless somehow you just happen to catch a trend that is just starting out. How do you compete in very competitive niches as you have successfully done?
I think the biggest thing is the differentiation aspect. Obviously, we have created brands where, packaging is consistent, so people recognize the brand at this point. So there's that trust factor. But if you were starting from scratch, you don't have any brand equity. You are literally competing against people who have a head start, and it's just about, the time that they were in the market. Speed to market is super important. So you want to make sure that your manufacturing relationship is dialed in and that they can deliver a product in a short turnaround time. I know a lot of people are sourcing overseas for certain products, but in categories like supplements, because we are in the US and we manufacture in the US, we can, turn around a product pretty quickly. So that's kind of our secret weapon. Is not only do we have good relationships with our manufacturers, we have some insight on popular products that are popping up, and always doing research on products. I almost have like a separate TikTok account that I use, that I will engage with specific types of videos that are all about either business building or about new hot trendy products. And because I interact with those types of videos, I get shown it all the time. And then every time I see it, I'm just going to keep on liking them. So it teaches the algorithm to show me these things. So I'm almost like ahead of the trends. So most of the time, a lot of stuff that you see on TikTok will then in a few months end up on Instagram, if not sooner than that. So you can almost find trends on TikTok and then translate it and, do research on Amazon, figure out, okay, this is doing really well on TikTok Shop. How can we translate something like this to Amazon if there isn't already a market for it? And what can we do that's a little bit different? Whether it's adding specific ingredients that have specific properties that we can use as a marketing play. So if there's like specific ingredient we know already that is good for stress relief, we're going to add that into the formulation. So yes, you can start with very little reviews and still make traction, especially if it's a more targeted niche. But I think the biggest thing is when it comes to going against people with 400 plus or hundreds and hundreds of reviews already, you have to have a good product. And then that's where we go aggressive on our subscribe and save. So we're willing to lose money on the initial sale, if not break even, and offer 30 to 50% off on the subscribe and save coupon, so that their first purchase is a heavy discount. But then obviously every subscription after that is at full price. But we're willing to lose money on that first sale, knowing that our product is superior and that it works, it tastes good, or it's a good product. That's the biggest thing. If you have a good product, people are going to gravitate towards leaving reviews. So I know Leo's also the master at crafting customer experiences when you first receive the product. That's also going to be a big factor as well. So making sure that you have a good first experience when they receive your product.
Yeah. Here's a question that I don't think is realistic, but it kind of leads me to another question. For example, this is Santiago here. It says, hey, if Amazon's marketplace disappeared overnight, what would be your plan? Like, what global marketplaces would you pivot to? So no, I don't think in any scenario there is ever a situation where Amazon marketplace is going to disappear. So I don't think we need to reference that. However, that being said, regardless of that, you should be looking at other marketplaces. And so we've already mentioned TikTok Shop. But Leo, what are some of the other marketplaces, both domestically as in United States and in other countries, that we should be diversifying to? Because as we found out during COVID, all of a sudden Amazon's marketplace didn't go away, but there were some niches where it was completely locked down. You couldn't even send inventory in and you couldn't sell it. And if you were only selling on Amazon, you were kind of screwed there for a while. So what are some domestic and international marketplaces, Leo, that people should be diversifying to, do you think?
I think more than a marketplace, I would probably look at this opportunity today that we have with instant checkout by OpenAI. So, there is no point of, I guess, reinvent the wheel. Like the wheel is being already invented, and there is an innovation happening as we speak. I think that's probably the biggest opportunity in the next few years. I think at some point these marketplaces will be unified. For example, I agree, Amazon is not going anywhere, but I think there'll be some sort of integration. And that's also what I'm kind of spending some time on, figuring out how to start selling on instant checkout as well, leveraging what I know about Amazon and TikTok, and seeing if there is an opportunity to put it all together.
And Clarence, what about you? What other marketplaces would you suggest people to go to outside of making sure you're searchable in AI, TikTok Shop, etc.?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys seen the update from OpenAI, literally like last week, where you can literally have a checkout button inside ChatGPT after you search, like, let's say, best perfume for men, right, over 50 years old. And ChatGPT literally say, I found 5 products like this, choose one, you can check out instantly, it will reach your house, and it's revolutionary. Like, I think that is like the future of how probably e-commerce is going to go towards, where they're going to interact with a large language model like ChatGPT in between serving the end products to the end customer with the help of AI, right? So more, I think going forward, we need to optimize our listing from AI, right? Thankfully, how AI works today is still large language model, which means they scrape our websites, they scrape Amazon's website with relevant keywords. So let's say if the search term that the initial customers say perfume over 50 for men, make sure you have that exact keywords, right, in your listing. So it will help with the promotion of with ChatGPT, for example, recommending your products to that customer. Yeah, so right now you really got to drill down to really know your audience. I would definitely focus on definitely like making your listing more targeted in the audience side of things, so the large language models can recommend you.
Yeah, for that, you need to submit also a feed to OpenAI. So you can create a feed and make sure that you fill all the attributes that the feed requires. And you can submit that to ChatGPT, but that's different from the instant checkout. So that allows ChatGPT to recommend your product. But then if you want, right now, the only, I think, out of the box compatible like marketplaces are Shopify. So if you sell on Shopify, they automatically create the feed for you and submit it to instant checkout, so you can be featured there. And then I think Temu is also one of them. But if you do sell on your own website, you can apply to become a merchant. I think everyone should be doing this today, guys, because you don't know, Walmart, I think I saw an article yesterday, Walmart declared that 20% of their search traffic is coming from OpenAI, ChatGPT. So 20% is a lot of traffic for a website like walmart.com. We're talking already about millions of clicks and visits. So I think, tapping into or riding the wave, we already know these companies have billions of dollars invested into their technologies. So they're focusing on growth and driving traffic. So capitalize on what they're doing, and then still a little bit of that traffic that they are paying for or anyway generating, and drive traffic to your own storefront. But now Amazon obviously is not part of that ecosystem yet, simply because they are competitors. But I think there will be either some sort of solution released by Amazon itself. And I even wrote an article on Medium about this, and what I think could be the Amazon checkout instead of the instant checkout by OpenAI. So we'll see if that becomes reality, but they have to definitely do something that to compete with OpenAI.
I just want to add on to that question some platforms and tools to keep an eye out on. So Gary Vee always talks about live selling, and he usually is the king of finding trends, jumping on them early on. And usually when he mentions something is going to be big, it's going to be big. So there's an app called Whatnot, which a lot of people are now streaming and doing live sales through Whatnot. And there's even studios that are set up where you can contract out, or you can go in yourself and do live selling on TikTok or, on whatnot in store in like, I think it's Santa Monica or LA. It's called Outlandish, but they literally have like these small cubicles where people can like rent out and set up a spot where you can do live selling. And there's a bunch of them are going to be popping up all over the place. I'm sure of it. Not only that, if you haven't already done so, download the Shop app and then add it to your Shopify store and add your products to the Shop app. Like, this is going to get you visibility like no other through Shopify's marketplace. So Shop is like an app that's basically Shopify curates all of the brands that sell on their platform into one specific marketplace. So it's like their version of Amazon, but for e-commerce and all brands in general. So you'll see brands like even Kylie Cosmetics on there. Like, there's a bunch of big brand names that use Shopify as their backbone for their website. So you can run deals through the Shop app, and sometimes you get credits towards deals too. So it's like free advertising. And then Shop also runs Facebook ads and features your products in carousels. So it adds sort of like that brand trust, because not only is your product being advertised by some of the biggest brand names in the world, like that brings credibility to your product and your brand. So if I could have like an unlimited budget on Shop, I would spend most of my money there. I think they cap it. It's like 18,000 or something like that. So yeah, definitely take advantage of that if you haven't already done so.
Cool. So we've talked about a lot of platforms today and a lot of ways to make money online. And that's one of the reasons why we did Scale Stories. It was, first of all, to show, hey, it is not too late to start a business. And Amazon is one of the ways that you could start a business, but it's not the only way. That's why we had a total of 4 different episodes with 4 completely different contestants. So guys, make sure to watch that first episode if you haven't done so yet. Go to YouTube, type in Helium 10 Scale Stories. You'll find the first episode and get into Natalie's journey. Be watching that. We're going to be following her just like we've followed Project X over the years. And you can still see the coffin shelf and egg trays being sold right now. That's the goal with Natalie's business. We found her a product. You'll see it there in the first episode that hasn't even been launched yet. Like Leo and I were even, going through it a little bit this weekend about her first order, adding some like little accessories to it. So it's going to be fun to watch how this progresses. But look for the other episodes. Maybe you're already selling on Amazon, but you've plateaued or you've run into obstacles. Your sales have declined. Is it too late to salvage your business? We have a couple different episodes that we are going to be launching over the next few weeks that have to do with that. Can you launch a business starting from TikTok Shop instead of Amazon? We've got an episode about that. So make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Get a hold of these episodes. If people want to reach out to you guys for their own scale stories, can each of you mention how you guys can be found on the interwebs? Start with Clarence.
Yeah, you can find us on the FBA Bros on Instagram, YouTube, and even TikTok. So that's TheFBABROS.
Awesome. Melissa?
You can also find me on Instagram, which is just at Melisa with 1 S, and on LinkedIn, so just Melissa Vong.
Awesome. And Leo?
Yeah, for me, either on LinkedIn, Leos Govio is my handle there, or website as well. I have leosgovio.com, so you can get in touch with me through the website.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for helping Natalie on this journey. Thank you for coming on here and helping all of those listeners. And as this progressed, my voice got a little bit better. So thank you for helping me and inspiring me, get me some positive endorphins going here. I appreciate you guys coming on here and giving everybody the inspiration, hopefully needed, to start their own scale story online. So thank you, and everybody else, wish you the best.